Good afternoon. Today is Try It Thursday for our Be Well Live. This is Mike, a sport coordinator from Seneca College's Athletics and Recreation Department. And today we're going to be talking about incorporating isometrics into your workout. So I guess maybe just a brief summary as to maybe what isometrics are all about before maybe boring you. So when you perform an exercise, let's say a bicep curl, okay, there's two major, phases or contractions, or two different ways that this is occurring. The first way is what's known as concentric contraction or action. This is when the muscle shortens under tension to produce a force to basically move the object. So on the up phase of a bicep curl or a bench press or a squat, this is known as the concentric action. On the down phase or the descent, we call this eccentric, which is a lengthening action. So under tension, the muscles will lengthen to control that resistance or that load against gravity. And this is where a lot of force is required to lower that weight. Okay, so that's your kind of two phases when you're performing an exercise, and this really applies to anything. And then you have the third, which is known as isometric. So this is where you have a contraction of the muscle that is static. So there's no movement that is as a result of the contraction, but there's still a force produced. So if you push against a wall or an immovable object, your muscles are producing that force, but nothing is happening. There's no lengthening of the muscle, and there's no movement of that load because the resistance is too much to overcome. So if you try to push a wall or a car or you're doing a deadlift with too much weight and you're trying to pull it up, your muscles are contracting, all your muscles in your body are being recruited and activated. A lot of energy is required to do that, but you're not moving it. So that's where you have isometric. So some examples of isometric exercises, maybe some common ones that you're familiar with that didn't really know what it was, are planks. So when you do like a core prone plank, so facing down, that would be considered an isometric or static contraction. Wall sits are a good example. So if you were to use a ball or even just up against the wall, you can do a squat. So let's say I go down here into a squat position, and your muscles are obviously contracting, but there's no movement. But this is still obviously using a lot of strength to hold this position. Okay, there's lots of other examples. Glute bridge would be one. Anything where you hold a position. Various Pilates and yoga movements require a lot of isometric strength. There's static strength where you're kind of holding a position. And then hanging. So if you're going to be doing, like, let's say pull-ups, and you're hanging and your weight, but you're holding on for dear life, that's also isometric. So that's kind of a brief summary of what isometric is. And then basically what I wanted to explain was maybe how to incorporate it into your workout. So I did just list some example exercises. Now, I guess besides doing those particular exercises, what you can do is you can incorporate them into your routine already. So if you're doing a movement, let's say a squat, and you're gonna do a full squat, and let's just say you're kind of, you're doing a regular body weight squat, but instead of continuing the movement, you're gonna pause at the bottom. Let's say halfway through your set. So let's say you're doing 12 repetitions. What you can do is on your 6th repetition, 5, and then down for 6, you hold it here. And obviously your glutes are activated, your quads and hamstrings are burning, that isometric contraction is happening, and then you release it and you keep doing the movement to finish the set. You can also incorporate it into kind of, I guess, maybe functional movement training. So you're using the whole body, coordinating that way. So if you're doing lunges, you could also hold a lunge position while doing an upper body movement. So these are just ways, I guess, you can incorporate isometric into your routine. Now, if you're wondering what the benefit is and why should I bother, I'll list a few. So stabilization and posture. So when you're doing exercises that focus on contracting in a static kind of way, Really helps with your posture and stabilization, strengthening the joints, improves balance and coordination to kind of stabilize the joints. And then as well, I guess it is a lot of activation and muscle recruitment, so it can improve your strength and your power. So that was how to incorporate isometrics into your workout. Thanks for joining Try It Thursdays. Have a good rest of the week, everyone. Be well.